Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a few comments, and if I can submit a letter into the record, I would appreciate it.
Without objection.
This is a letter, Mr. Chairman, to you that I sent to you after a previous hearing when we talked about the need for a hearing on inflation. And I still stand, I think, diving into what caused this inflation and what we in Congress can do to combat that is a really good discussion to have. I know we've had some of that here today, but I'd like to see us do that further. So that letter remains. It's interesting to hear the chairman's take on this, talks about 2% wage increase, but completely ignores, almost ignores the real wage decrease that we've seen. And Democrats know that this economy is not working for the American people. That's why their dais has been empty most of this hearing. It is difficult for them to defend what is happening in the economy. Mayor Williams, I appreciate you being here. Thank you for what you're doing in your community. You're working to help to see that the needs of your constituents are met. I want you to know that you're not the only one in the room that is in that position. We all come here to Congress to work. I ran for Congress to help to ensure that the poorest among us can live their own American dream. And this is a real discussion about policies that make that happen or will prevent that from happening. So yes, maybe sometimes it's political, but I want you to know that I think every member on this dais agrees with you that we should have policies that work. The inflation in your community, does that affect your constituents?
Yes, it does.
If the gas prices, I'm sure do. If we agreed that the American Rescue Plan caused that, would it have been worth it?
Yes, it would have been worth it.
I can tell you that my constituents don't believe that. Yeah. I don't know about yours, but mine do not. Yeah. They would prefer to have an economy that is growing, an economy like you had before the pandemic when you said Union City was trending in the right direction by nearly every measure. That was not by accident. That was a result of work that you've done and of work that had been done on the federal level that helped to ensure that we had policies in place that allowed every community to benefit. So these are important issues that we're talking about. Mr. Moore, appreciate your testimony. I think we need a better understanding of what causes inflation, and maybe I want to get back to the basics. And the testimony of, Coronado, Dr. Coronado, she said U.S. core inflation rose earlier and higher than other advanced economies after inflation rose. This is her direct quote. U.S. core inflation rose earlier and higher than other advanced economies. I have a chart that shows that. This is before Ukraine, because there are obviously supply chain issues, Ukraine issues that do have an impact, but this was before that occurred. This is OECD countries, so countries comparable to the U.S. The red is their inflation rate, and look how the U.S. Inflation rate jumped just after the American Rescue Plan. Can you tell me, Mr. Moore, how do governments cause inflation? What causes inflation?
Well, if you just hold up, can you hold up that chart one more time? Because it's remarkable. Look at the end of 2020. Look at where the inflation rate just goes straight up under Biden. We had 1.4% inflation the month Trump left office. So that's a pretty remarkable malfeasance. We hadn't had, Mr. Smucker, inflation for about 35 years in this country. One of the reasons the U.S. did so well through the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and 2010s was we had very low inflation. Our inflation rate ranged from 2 to 3, maybe sometimes it would hit 4%, but we were in the sweet zone. And what you want from monetary policy is very simple. You want a strong and stable currency. And by the way, just as an aside, I'm very concerned about this idea that the Federal Reserve Boards can get involved in, climate change issues and race issues and so on. No. The Federal Reserve has to hold inflation down. Stop.
Well, and I'm sorry I'm out of time. I'd love to ask you some more questions. But what I'm concerned about is the impact on the communities of Mayor Williams and other communities across the country of inflation that is not tailing off, that the Fed is going to have a very difficult time dealing with that without causing a severe recession. So we have hard times ahead is a direct result of policies that have been put in place by this administration.
Mr. Smucker, I believe in the first 2 years of the Biden administration, if we stay on the course we're on, we'll see all of the median income gains that happened under Trump completely eliminated.
I'm out of time. Thank you.